What's going on, everybody? On this episode of Basement Gas, we're going to be diving into the Adam Jones tone once again. We're going to be using real amplifiers, we're going to be using Kempers, we're going to be using Line 6 and impulse responses, plugins, and a pedal board, everything, up and down, left and right. It's going to get real detailed, a little bit nerdy, a little bit geeky, but it should be interesting and hopefully informative. My name is Jack, and I'm sure a lot of you probably still know, and for those who don't, I still have a serious case of gas. So before I go into more detail, here is a picture of the new Pedalboard. Now, for those of you who saw the last Adam Jones Pedalboard video, you probably will see quite a few differences. I have the Line 6 delay in there, I've got the DOD EQ in there, I've got the Boss Flanger BF2, so I've changed quite a few things around. And it's mainly because of feedback from a lot of you, and it's also me doing a little bit more research and investing a little bit more into different pedals, and I think it actually has really worked out. So you'll have heard that in the intro video, and also you'll be hearing that in the upcoming sound examples. But first of all, before we get into even more detail, this video is brought to you by you guys, all of you. That's including people like Luke, and Josh, Douglas, Lone Star, Lieutenant Llama. I've really appreciated your support so far. You guys have been following for a long time, so thanks a lot for all of that. And to all of you other viewers, all the other supporters of the channel, thanks a lot. It's because of you people that I keep doing these videos, so thanks again. Now, what am I going to be using? I'm going to be using a Diesel VH2. It's an amp that I've used lots of times in these videos. It's a great amp. It's Adam Jones, almost, in a box. And I'm also going to be using a Line 6 Helix, and also my Kemper. The Kemper is mainly to get the JMP super bass sound, which, like I said, I've mentioned this before, I don't have a JMP Marshall amplifier, especially not one from the 1970s. They're hard to track down, and they're quite expensive. And also I'm using the Line 6 Helix, which is also on a high gain amplifier. Now the point of this is I'm using sort of like a 3 amp method again, like I did almost 8 months ago or longer in pretty much my first Adam Jones video, where I'm dedicating 1 amp to one spectrum of the EQ, meaning the diesel is mainly for the mids, there's middle, the JMP more for the highs, so a lot of presence and putting up the treble a little bit, and the Line 6 amplifier, or it's the Line 6 Epic, it's more going to be towards the bass tone. So the full spectrum is being balanced out, one could almost say, and I think it has the best overall sound. I'm going to be going into each one individually so you can hear each one isolated, and also on like clean, or let's say dry signal, so no effects or pedal board. And what I'm also using is no cabinets. Everything is pretty much going straight into my audio interface, and I'm using impulse responses. And specifically, I'm using the Owen Hammer impulse responses, and specifically the Heavy Hitters pack. And these are just, they're fantastic. I've used IRs in the past from 2 Notes, from Lancaster Audio, the built-in ones, and the Helix and the Kemper, but these ones from Owen Hammer are just a whole different ballpark. They've got diesels, oranges, meza boogies, which are mega, and Marshalls, and for high gain stuff, they're just fantastic. So check those out if you can. And in regards to the pedal board, I'm going to put images of each individual pedal on my Instagram, Basement Gas. Check that out so that you don't always have to stop and start the YouTube video to see what settings I'm using. You can just quickly scroll through. And so let's check out the sounds. If you're like me, you're really looking forward to the new Tool album coming up, and the title track, Fear Inoculum, has been on my playlist just non-stop pretty much for the last week, and I tried to dive into some of those tones as well. So it's a mix of new and also the classic stuff that we've grown up with and loved, so let's get to it. Also, a quick side note, I'm using my Gibson 1987 Custom Shop Les Paul, and it still has the Seymour Duncan SH6 in there. I know a lot of you said put the SH4 back in. I will eventually. Just give me time. I'll get to it. Anyway, I've still got the SH6 in there. I think it sounds good as well. So, but yeah, that's the guitar I'm using. So this is a dry signal going into the Diesel VH2. I've boosted the mids mainly on this amplifier, and it's going into the 2-notes captor, which is then going into my interface, and I'm using a orange 4x12 in the Wall of Sound plugin to give it more of a boxy sound. So this is mainly for mids now. Again, this is a dry signal which I'm going into the Kemper with, and this is emulating a JMP super bass, and I've boosted mainly the treble and presence. This is more for the highs, and it's going into 2 signals, so 2 XLR cables going also into my interface. I'm again using the 2-notes Wall of Sound for the impulse responses. One of them is a Mesa Boogie 412 with vintage 30 speakers, and the other one is a Marshall 412 with T75 and also vintage 30 speakers. So I love that sound. That's really good. So this is now my Line 6 Helix, which again is going into the user interface and audio interface, and again it's a dry signal, and I'm using what's called the Line 6 Epic amplifier without a cabinet. Again, I'm using cabinets or impulse responses in the 2-notes studio, and in this case I'm using a Diesel 412, and this has also vintage 30 speakers in it. And also I'm mainly using that for the bass sound. I'm really boosting the bass on the equalizer and kind of drawing back the mids quite a bit down to like 3. I'll add pictures of all this, and yeah, so that's the bass sound mainly. And now finally, last but not least, this again is the Diesel VH2, which is going straight into my 2-notes Torpedo Studio, and I'm using the Wall of Sound, again, dry signal, and I'm using 2 Mesa Boogie cabinets, 4x12, vintage 30 speakers. By the way, it's also got a bit of a room reverb to it, just to give it a little bit more body, you could say. And this is sort of more equalized for the higher presence kind of stuff. So even though I'm not actually using real cabinets, it doesn't give direct feedback, but still you can really hear then the resonance and also the sustain from the guitar, which I love. So let's put everything together now. A lot of clicking. And so this is everything all together. That's a dry signal going into all of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different inputs. So the Kemper, the Line 6, and 2 times the Diesel VH2. So we'll get into the pedal board now. One pedal that I think really helped out in the sound was this little puppy, the Game Changer Audio Plasma pedal. If you don't know much about this pedal, I did a review on Basement Gas YouTube channel, so check that out. And I think it helps out a lot more than the MXR micro amp. It adds a little bit more gain, a little bit of fizziness, not like a fuzz, but I think it sounds more like Adam Jones's newer tone, like you hear on Fear Inoculum. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit deeper, darker, so I think that really helps out. In these recordings, I did not add the Heil talkbox. Now, there are two reasons for this. First of all, I still need to practice with it. It's a hard tool to master, but it's a lot of fun. And second of all, I also want to see how much Adam Jones is going to be using it on the new album. If it's not as present as it has been in the past, I might let it fall to the side, but things like on Jambi, the solo, it is still pretty cool, so I'll probably do it anyway. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them down in the comments below. I did the hand before I did the comment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather them all up, and I'm going to do a video where I answer the questions directly, because if it's something about signal chains, or if it's about how I hooked up the Kemper to the audio interface, anything like that, I'll be able to show you what exactly I've done. I'm not just going to sit here and answer the questions unless that's what the question requires. Then I will do that. Otherwise, I will try to show things and answer the question at the same time. So, anyway, beginner questions, advanced questions. If you're new to Kempers, new to diesel amps back there, new to pedals, add anything. If you're a beginner, we've all been there, maybe still are, and I'll try to help out as much as I can. Finally, if you have made it this far in the video, I commend you. Well done. And I have a surprise. If you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, please do. First of all, you will get to see the pedals and the settings I've used, and also ridiculous pictures of guitars, amplifiers, and dogs. My spaniel. She's over there. And join up, sign up. I'll get in touch with you, or I'll randomly pick a couple of people, and I'll send you a Basement Gas signature pick. I had these made. I don't know why, I just felt like it, but on the back it says, "My name is still Jack, and I still have a serious case of gas." Anyway, it's a jazz pick. I like them the most, and I don't know, just again, to give something back to you guys. Anyway, as the pick says, my name is Jack, and I still have a serious case of gas.